teachers, I'm Christina Korn. I was a teaching artist for nearly 15 years and I specialized in arts integration. And I got to be a teaching artist here in MAM before becoming the director. So I was lucky enough to get to pilot the curriculum that you'll be learning about today.
Hi, MAM teachers. I'm Jolene Fernandez, a teaching artist that you will be working with in MAM.
So today we're going to lead you through one of the 4 Media Arts Matter units that make up our curriculum. So Jolene and I, we're going to talk a little bit about Unit 1, graphic design. So Jolene, could you share a little bit about a successful integration of Unit 1 that you saw in your MAM classroom this fall?
Yes, this is a great example of a 6th grader's work from Miss Lason's class at John Muir Middle School. The students were prompted to create an alternative book cover based on the story they were reading, The Jumping Tree.
So how did this student demonstrate their learning of the novel in and through the graphic design project?
Great question. The students' work was successful because it really captured the central theme of The Jumping Tree, which was that sometimes this can be a really tumultuous transition between childhood and adulthood. For example, the use of asymmetrical balance to represent this transitional moment and the colors being so highly saturated reflect that high energy in this moment in our lives.
I can totally see that in this work. Thanks so much. So now I just want to provide a really quick overview of the resources and the technology that will be available to support your implementation of this unit. Also, just real quick before I begin, let me start by saying this is just a brief overview and we will provide a much more in-depth training to you later in the spring and summer.
So, here are the main components of the graphic design project. Each design must include images, text, and shapes. We start each instructional slide deck with a student-friendly introduction to the media arts domain.
And then in every unit, we next go on to do a visual inquiry moment. This is really an opportunity for students to develop and share ideas about professional works of art. And ideally, the image that you use for visual inquiry could be really well matched with your integration of this project. That's a place where I would really lean on the teaching artists and their expertise and their depth of knowledge about artworks that are out there. Following that, we always have a vocabulary moment in our lesson. The elements of art listed here and the compositional strategies, these are going to be critical for all 4 units. So in the graphic design unit, we offer this opportunity for students to really practice using this vocabulary with intentionality. And you'll notice that as your students begin to use this vocabulary, they'll be thinking and speaking in the language of the artist.
Exactly. And now for the technical part. How students can use Adobe Express to create their design. Let me show you around the platform to get you oriented. So first, you'll use the plus sign in the upper left corner to get you started. You want to click on Custom Size Graphic. From there, you'll click on Standard, and you'll want to choose a size. So depending on the prompt that you've given your students, you'll want to choose a size that appropriately matches that prompt. For example, if you wanted to create an alternative book cover, you might choose a portrait. Let's try that. So once you've seen your portrait-sized format pop up, you're going to see there's a few buttons here on the left-hand side, one of them being text. I'll click on text, and I'll want to add text. So let's try creating an example of the jumping tree. I'll type in the jumping tree right here in the upper right-hand corner. There's my text. You can choose the color or choose a different font. I can also include a photo. Let's try a tree. I'm a fan of this tree. I'll slide it in here. And what you can also do is adjust the size of photos too, using these small circles at the corners of the image. You're noticing that this image is actually overlapping the jumping tree, which is something that we don't want because we want to see the text. So what I'll do is I'll click on the text and I'll just simply rearrange it. Last but not least, you'll also want to use some shapes right here on the left-hand side. In the shapes bar, you can choose certain shapes that you want to best communicate your message. So, for example, the jumping tree, It's a pretty tumultuous story, so what I'll choose is playful. And let's just say, for example, I wanted to use one of these silly faces. And there you have it. Is that bad?
No, it's awesome. I love it.
Okay.
Looks great.
There you have it. And of course, you can change the color of your image or your shape.
All right, that was awesome, Jolene. Thanks for that quick overview. And again, just to reiterate, when you're looking at the Media Arts Matter side of this graphic design project, we're looking at a two-dimensional graphic image that's used using Adobe Express. And some ideas for integration, like Jolene was showing, it could be an alternate book cover or an album cover design. It could be an educational poster. Seen a lot of success with an Instagram post mock-up and other ideas as well. For every unit, students will be asked to write an artist statement, and this is an opportunity to express the intentionality behind their design choices. The artist statement will help you and your teaching artist to provide feedback to students about how well they are able to express their ideas through their artwork.
Here are some great examples of graphic design from MAM students last fall. There will be tons of examples of student work to inspire you and your students.
And so finally, our assessment checklist. One of the most important aspects of MAM is an in-depth training in using a student artwork assessment tool, or SAT as we call it. And we will provide you with this training in another video and with further workshops this spring and summer. But for now, here's a glimpse at the graphic design checklist.
Some notes for success on this unit. Encourage students to layer their elements and not shy away from using an extending beyond composition. Students will really tend to want to contain all of their elements within the borders of the frame, but in order to create a more dynamic and interesting composition, students should really play with size.
All right, well, that's about it for graphic design. I hope this gives you some inspiration and ideas as you think about how you might integrate this project into your classrooms.
Can't wait to see what you create.
Thank you.
Hello, MAM teachers. My name is Matt Reynolds, and I'll be one of the teaching artists working with you in MAM. Today, I'll present a brief overview of Unit 2, our animation project. This will be a sneak peek at the project, so don't worry, you will have time to practice and learn about this unit during our in-person PD sessions. This unit is an introduction to animation. Students will be making a GIF by creating a sequence of images and using Easy GIF Maker to animate. Here are some really great examples of projects my MAM students created last fall. I particularly like these two because they used animation in interesting ways, and they did a really great job to integrate the curriculum that they were learning in their classroom into their visualizations. So this one on the left, the class content was about implicit bias, and this one on the right, students were asked to visually represent a healthy way to reduce stress. Both very expertly done. For visual inquiry, you can work with your teaching artist to find a GIF or animated artwork that is a good fit for you, that's specific to the integration of this unit in your classroom. Our vocabulary for Unit 2, GIF, students need to know what type of file that they are making. Sequence is a very important concept for students to be aware of when creating images for their GIF. Anticipation is used a lot in animation and is a concept students can apply to their own GIFs. And unity. We want students to think about how all the elements of their artwork should work together in their GIF. To overview the project, students can create a sequence of images using either Adobe Express or hand drawing their frames using a Wacom tablet and a platform like Clecky. Then all the frames will be uploaded to Easy GIF Maker to animate and export as a GIF. I can show you that real quick. Easy GIF Maker is an open source software that looks like this. Students will have already made some images that they can upload and make a GIF. And then in Easy GIF Maker, they can rearrange the photos to be in the order that they intended and hit Make a GIF. Bada bing, bada boom, we have motion. And then if they hit save, it will automatically save as a GIF. For each unit, students will write an artist statement. And finally, here's a peek at the assessment checklist for this unit, where we will be sure to share these requirements with the students so that they can know how to create a successful GIF. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to working with you in person.
Hello, MAM teachers. My name is Jolene Fernandez, and I'll be one of the teaching artists working with you in MAM. Today, I will lead you through Unit 3 of Media Arts Matter's curriculum, photography. This will be a brief overview of the materials and tools available to support you in teaching this photography unit in your classroom. In this unit, students will learn about different shot types and how photos can work together to present a narrative. In visual inquiry, remind students that there are no wrong answers when it comes to discussing art, just as long as they can support their opinions with evidence from the artwork and practice their media arts vocabulary. Photographers use a variety of shot types to create an interesting photo essay. For example, close-ups are great for capturing expressions and details. Mid-shots include about 50% subject and 50% background. Meanwhile, wide shots include mostly background, and the subject takes up less space in the frame. This really gives us a sense of time and place. To review, the photography project should include a close-up, mid-shot, wide shot, and a variety of compositional strategies. And for camera kits. So of course, the cameras will be our tools for this unit and Unit 4, filmmaking. MAM will lend a kit of 20 DSLR cameras to each school so students can practice using professional tools, as opposed to, let's say, phone cameras. Here are some great examples of student photographs. Shot at John Muir Middle School. Even though students were limited to working on campus, they used the shot types to develop a very dynamic photo essay. And of course, we have the artist statement, which is a requirement for each of our 4 units. And finally, we have the project checklist. We'll use the checklist throughout the project to help students stay on track with requirements and provide formative feedback on their work in progress. Thank you so much, and really looking forward to seeing what your students create with photography.
Hello, MAM teachers. My name is Matt Reynolds, and I'll be one of the teaching artists working with you in MAM. Today, I'll lead you through the 4th and final unit of the MAM curriculum, which is Unit 4, filmmaking. MAM students love the filmmaking project. On our end of the year survey, 40% identified that Unit 4 was their favorite MAM project. So let's take a moment to briefly overview the materials and resources available to support you in implementing this unit in your classroom. Filmmaking is a collaborative process, so this will be a group project. In this final unit, students will utilize all their prior media arts learning, including shot types, compositional strategies, and elements of art to create a 30-second to 2-minute live action short film. For visual inquiry, it can be fun to share a short film created by students. So here's a great example from Ms. Hudson's 12th graders at West Adams Preparatory High School. These students were asked to create a music video inspired by the novel Frankenstein. They had a blast, bringing green face paint, props, and costumes to class, and it was so cool to see the creative ways in which students added their own spin to a classic story. The vocabulary for Unit 4 are all camera movements. We can explore how filmmakers use static, pan, and zoom movements to create different psychological effects in the viewer. To overview the project, students will be working in groups to create a short live-action film that uses a variety of shot types, camera movements, and compositional strategies to tell a compelling story. For the artist statement requirement of this project, students can work with their group to collaborate on a shared statement. Here's an example of how this creates an opportunity for students to reflect on the process in their own words. Finally, the assessment checklist. This is just an example, and we'll go into the student artwork assessment process later in future PD sessions. Well, thank you again for your interest in MAM, and we cannot wait to see what you will create in the classroom.